विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरयेत्। Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
I am presenting this chapter 17 of Srimad Bhagavatam, the punishment and reward of Kali. In this chapter, I have divided this chapter into 5-6 sections. First is 1 to start, verse 1 to 6. Parikshit Maharaj made the personified Kali, the cow, and the bull, and challenges to Kali. And 7 to 16, Maharaj Parikshit asking bull and the cow about the culprit who caused their rich condition and also give assurance for protection. In between,
Voice is not clear, Prabhu.
solution
Haribol. Voice is not so clear.
course.
अरे सुनो तो, आपका आवाज क्लियर नहीं आ रहा है। एक मोबाइल से कनेक्ट करो, मोबाइल से बोलो, उससे दिखाओ। आप लोग को सुनाई दे रहा है? इज इट क्लियर व्हाट इज स्पीकिंग?
जी, वॉइस इज ब्रेकिंग।
या
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
यस, बेटर, मच बेटर। स्टार्ट।
Verse number 7 to 16, Maharaj Parikshit asking bull and the cow about the culprit who was caused their rich condition and also give assurance for their protection. And 17 to 21, and answer given by Dharma in the form of bull to Parikshit Maharaj. 22 to 27, Parikshit Maharaj identified the personality of religion and how Kali destroyed the 3 legs of Dharma. And in between, verse 25, Kali by deceit trying to destroy the existing 1 leg of Dharma also discussed. In 28 to 35, Kali pretending before Parikshit Maharaj and got 4 places to reside. In between verse 31 to 32, if Kali resides in kingdom, then impious government and all corruption will rise. Adharma Bandhu. 36 to 40, Kali begged for places where he permanently resides. 4 places of sinful activities and in gold. And 41 to 45, King Parikshit established the 3 lost legs of Dharma. And in between, verse 42, who do not contact with these 5 things are explained, their position. So, Parikshit Maharaj, how he was received the Kali personified is explained in chapter 16. When Parikshit Maharaj took over the kingdom, he could see the decline of religious principles. He see the Kali, that a lower caste Shudra, dressed like a king, engaged in hurting the legs of cow and bull. By seeing this, Parikshit Maharaj prepared himself to conquer, and he took his bow and arrow to fight with Kali. He is now going to give up the influence of Kali. Rather, he drive the Kali out of his kingdom. Parikshit Maharaj then reached the shore of river Saraswati. Now, Sutta Goswami continued to speak how Parikshit Maharaj gave punishment and reward to Kali in chapter 17. In verse number 1, after reaching the shore of river Saraswati, Parikshit Maharaj observed that the Kali personified, beaten to death, Hanyamanam, that he severely beating both the cow and the bull to death. यहाँ पे ये समझा गया कि गो मिथुन, cow and the bull, both. Parikshit Maharaj reached there and he was very much disturbed to see them, as if the cow and bull has no owner. So the thing is that who is the natural owner of citizens? The king is the guardian of the citizens. In his presence, he sees the Kali personified beating them. So Srila Prabhupada gives the principal signs of the age of Kali. The principal sign number 1 is there will not be any capable ruler or capable leader. Those who are unqualified as administrator, they will be in the position of administrator. Capable leader means he should have Brahminical culture and should have spiritual initiation. So the sign of Kali is the administrator will not be Kshatriyas. Prabhupada says here they are non-Kshatriyas because Kshatriyas means they are guided by Brahminical culture, and if there is no Brahminical culture, Kshatriyas not to be guided, nor they are Vaishyas, because the duty of Vaishya is to protect cow and bull. Vaishya means in Bhagavad Gita 18.44, it is explained that Vijnana and Gorakhya, agriculture and cow protection. Vaishya
Again. दोबारा बोलो. विज्ञाना and गोरक्षा.
वाणिज्य and Gorakhya, bro. वाणिज्य and Gorakhya.
तोता कितना मत पकड़ो, तोते कितना मत पकड़ो भैया, पहले समझो वाणिज्य का मतलब क्या है.
वाणिज्य मतलब एग्रीकल्चर एंड काउ प्रोटेक्शन.
एग्रीकल्चर एंड काउ प्रोटेक्शन.
यस. गोरक्षा मतलब
कृषि गोरक्षा वाणिज्यम. खोलो 18.44. फर्स्ट इंपॉर्टेंट चीज तो तुम भूल गया. फर्स्ट थिंग इज कृषि.
कृषि, कृषि गोरक्षा एंड वाणिज्य.
सुनो सुनो ध्यान से, आराम से, ठीक है. देखो हमें ना पैरेट नहीं बनना है, ना किसी का कॉपी पेस्ट बनना है. अपनी अंडरस्टैंडिंग क्या है, आप लोग को इसलिए प्रेजेंट देता हूँ कि आपकी जितनी अंडरस्टैंडिंग एसिमुलेशन है वो क्लियर हो जाएगी. तो ध्यान पूर्वक चलिए आगे बढ़िए.
Srila Prabhupada gives importance this cow and bull not to be treated as animal. Actually, the cow and bulls are respected as father and mother because the father earns the livelihood so that the grains and food can be supplied from his earnings. And because of the bull, the grains are cultivated in land from the mother earth. And from the grains, family can be nourished and they can maintain. So the bull is considered to be father. The cow is considered to be mother because cow gives the milk, and with milk, all children are nourished. So if cow is the mother and bull is the father, they are meant to be protected. But now Vaishyas are selling them to the slaughterhouses and they are killing the father and mother. So Srila Prabhupada very emphasizes about the current civilization, and current civilization is killing his own father and mother. The second clear symptoms of Kali is anyone who is following the religious principles, he was subjected to so much harassment and tribulation. So the bull was compared here as a white lotus flower. So much cruelty is shown by the personified Kali that already he broke the 3 legs. Although he was as a white lotus flower, because of the chastisement of Kali, he was terrified and standing on 1 leg by afraid. Because of 3 legs are broken, he was trembling and urinating. Those people who are following dharma, they are harassed by Sudra or below the Sudra people. And the clear symptoms of Kali, number 3 is the distressed condition of the cow and bull. Prabhupada specially mentioned about the Sanatanis, and Sanatanis means those who are following the Vedic principles, and respects Brahmins. And no householder could refuse to supply food and meal. क्योंकि यहाँ पे बताया गया है कि जैसे कि भगवान कृष्ण नमो ब्राह्मण देवाय गो ब्राह्मण हिताय च, कृष्ण इज नोन एज वन who is the protector of cow and Brahmins in the form of religious principles. Here, cow is beneficial because one can draw the religious principles from here, we discussed in our class. So, cow gives us milk, and cow is also the most purest form of religion, because the religion is to protect the cow. When we serve the cow, we serve the religious principles, and the cow naturally gives us milk, but now their calves are being killed. So, cows are unhappy. When the cows are happy, they will give profuse in milk. And when the human drinks the cow milk, the effect of cow milk in human is it nourishes the brain tissues so that one can understand the Shastra. And when the brain tissue, when one has that brain tissues, one has that consciousness to accept the religious principles, and also he will abide by the religious principles, and he should follow the practice the religious principle. So without cow milk, there is no possibility to follow the religious principles. With cow milk only comes the possibility of following the religious principles. So if he one claim he is a Sanatanist, he must have a cow and bull, not just to derive milk from it, but to serve and protect them. And every householder should maintain a cow and bull to keep them happy and to be happy. And this is the happy formula. If he fails to do so, we never experience any happiness. Now, in current scenario, in metro cities, we cannot have cow and bull, and how can we practically serve? To spare time, we can go to a gosala to serve the cows and bulls, and by giving donation for cow protection and to spreading the knowledge of how important cow is in the society, so that in this way also we can serve the cow and bull.
And you can be Sanatanist. Huh?
Yes.
Otherwise, you are not Sanatanist. Huh? Good. Good.
In verse number 4, when Parikshit Maharaj encountered the problem, he was challenged the Sudra. Like Parikshit Maharaj, such a great, strong administrator is required in a society. A king, a monarch, or as a Raj Rishi, it is very important that this king of popular vote system, Prabhupada mentioned purport, popular vote system to elect a less than Sudra to be an administrator is counterproductive. Srila Prabhupada says these are the so-bottle executive heads. On the other hand, if we have a strong monarch, a strong leader like king, who is a Sanatanist, who is a representative of Supreme Personality of Godhead, then the entire citizen will be protected and possibility of progress of citizens in spiritual advancement. Now, Parikshit Maharaj roaring upon the Kali and immediately challenged Kali. So, Srila Prabhupada said here, in today's world, none of the leaders are qualified, none of them fit to their position. They are degraded. They do not qualify the post what they are holding. So, the reasons of their qualification is they are not accepted spiritual master, and they are not guided by the Brahminical quality. They acted whimsically, and here Kshatriyas must be under guidance of Brahman. They should be initiated. It is required. So the second disqualification is they are spiritually uncultured. So they are disqualified. They do not have any spiritual culture, and they do not observe the spiritual culture. So everyone is unhappy. In verse 6, Maharaj Parikshit, how he received Kali is mentioned, and Maharaj Parikshit chastised and threatened to Kali, and and how from here we know that how a king should protect the cow and bull just like a normal citizen. 7, seeing the condition of bull, Parikshit Maharaj was so much grieved. So he says, "You are some demigod, in the form of bull, are causing us grief." And in 8, Parikshit Maharaj was so much grieved, took it personally, because he said that for the first time I seeing a bull in a grieving condition with tear in his eyes in the kingdom of Kuru dynasty. And Kuru dynasty never uh, negligence like such things and previously by any Kuru kings. So Parikshit Maharaj said, "O son of Surabhi," in verse number 9, "O son of Surabhi," Parikshit Maharaj addressed the cow as mother. That is the spiritual culture. So in this verse number 1 to 9, in this section, we see the protection of cow and bull is the prime duty of administrative class of men, and those who are not those who are also having the occupation of being butchers, the mercantile men, is a prime duty to serve the cows and bull. Now, Parikshit Maharaj explained about how the miscreants should be immediately punished. Atatai, those who are terrifying and causing trouble to others, should be killed. So, Parikshit Maharaj asking the bull, the Dharma personified, the son of Survi, about who is cut off his 3 legs. Here, Srila Prabhupada explains the administrative head of the state must know the code of human form of life from the Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, must act according to fulfill the mission of human life. In a state where the code of Krishna are followed, no one is unhappy. Where such codes are not followed, the first sign is that 3 legs of the representative of religion are cut off, and thereby all miseries follow. So when Krishna was present, the codes are being followed without question, and in his absence, the codes are mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, and we should follow as per the instructions of Srimad Bhagavatam. In verse number 13, Parikshit Maharaj were afraid of losing their reputations because he come from a reputable family of Pandavas who will never be forgotten because their kingdom was offenseless and honest living beings were never be in trouble. So in verse number 14, principle was given. The dishonest miscreants flourish because of cowardly and impotent executive heads of the state. If the ruler is strong and he is following the dharma, then the miscreants, they cannot exist. How much duty bound Parikshit Maharaj is explained in this verse. And now Parikshit Maharaj is so much determined, even he may be anyone, even if he is a denizens of heaven, if he is engaged in torturing those who are observing the religious principles, they are punished by me. In some verse number 16, 2 types of dharmas are mentioned: apada dharma and swadharma. Apada dharma is occupational duty at the time of extraordinary happenings, and swadharma means faithful in one's prescribed duties. In purport, Srila Prabhupada given that the violator is subject to punishment in terms of Shastra, and the duty of the king is to see that everyone strictly follow his occupational duty as prescribed in the scripture. Here, how Parikshit Maharaj so much duty bound is explained. So, from verse number 16, 17, reply from Dharma personified is explained. After hearing from Parikshit Maharaj, religion personified is Dharma satisfied and said, by your speech, you release all of the fear. Here in this verse, we see the reason of Parikshit Maharaj's claim to punish Kali. That this is the duty of a king is to follow the scriptures, give all protection to law-abiding persons. Offenseless creatures should not be offended. Asadhu damana, to protect the sadhu and punish the miscreants. And for his reputation, he must punish Kali, and he comes from the Pandu family, and he is also representative of Krishna, and he is associated with Krishna and surrendered to Krishna and his devotees. These are the reasons to Parikshit Maharaj claim he should punish Kali. Parikshit Maharaj was not falsely proud, for a devotee of the Lord is equally as powerful as the Lord, or sometimes more merciful by his grace. This statement was discussed in our class. So in case of Amrish Maharaj and Durvasa Muni reached Lord Narayan in Vaikuntha. Lord Narayan also said, Aham Bhakta Paradhino. I am completely under the control of my devotee. And in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Saint Nityananda Prabhu to preach in Gauda Desa, Amar Duskar Karma Tomar Hote Hoye. So Nityananda Prabhu also accept Jagai Madhai, although Chaitanya Mahaprabhu want to kill them. This is also the example of this statement. And Prahlad Maharaj and Lord Narasimhadev, Prahlad Maharaj asked benediction to a benediction from Lord Narasimhadev for deliverance of his father Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu, uh, Lord Hiranyakashipu also gives so many punishment to Prahlad Maharaj, but Prahlad Maharaj asking from Lord Narasimha that his father should be delivered. So Lord agreed, and he said, not only this father, your 21 generations are delivered. So here Prabhupada said, it is not mentioned about how Parikshit Maharaj is not falsely proud, for a devotee of the Lord is equally as powerful as the Lord, or sometimes more powerful by his grace. In verse number 18, this is a very, very different and unusual reply coming from the religion personified Dharma. Dharma said he do not know exactly the real cause of his suffering or the real culprit. But in our life, if there is anything happen, and if our authority asked about it, we immediately reply that one or two names says that he is the real cause of my suffering. But here Parikshit Maharaj know who is the infiltrate to Dharma, but just want to know from Dharma that who is punishing. But the religion person is saying that he is very, it is very difficult to ascertain the particular miscreants who has caused our suffering. Apparently, what is seeming to be the direct cause is not the direct cause. The declined Parikshit Maharaj just wanted to hear from both the bull and the cow that their suffering is inflicted by Kali, but both the cow and bull declined to consider Kali to be the cause of their suffering. So why they declined Kali to be cause of the suffering? Here we see the devotee of Lord. Example, for example, Draupadi Devi, Aswasthama caused her most suffering. He killed her 5 sons, but Draupadi Devi does not consider Aswasthama is the cause of death of her 5 sons, and she requests release Aswatthama and said, "I do not want to be punished. I do not want to be punished or chastised." Where the mischief monger is declined, the cause of suffering. तो यहीं पे प्रभुपाद purport में बता रहे हैं, we also recite the verse, ईश्वर परम कृष्ण सत्यानंद विग्रह अनादिर आदिर गोविंद सर्व कारण कारण. Prabhupada is saying, without the sanction of the Lord, how can there be a situation of suffering or tribulation? But does a devotee blame Lord that you are causing me trouble? Then what is the response of a devotee who is actually a devotee? How he is responsible? How is response in such a difficult situation? In Srimad Bhagavatam 10:14-8, it was mentioned that Tatte Nukampa Susumikshmana Bhunjan Etat Pratam Vipakam. It says that Atma Kritam Vipakam. It is only because of my own misdeed, whatever is happening, it is due to because of my own sinful deeds. He does not allege, he does not accuse is not accept or consider anyone else to be the cause of the suffering. That is the only because a carrier of the suffering, but the seed of the suffering. In this verse, na bayam klesha bijani was given. The root cause of all suffering is our own sinful activity. So a devotee never blame the Supreme Lord for his suffering presently and thinks himself the cause. Thinks himself the cause. That means he thinks due to his past karma effects, he is suffering. In verse number 19, different opinions are given. The root cause of suffering is from self, and second one is superhuman power, and from karma, due to our karma, and nature is the ultimate cause, Subhavam. The gross materialist says that nature is the ultimate cause. In verse number 20 here, Dharma said, O sage among the kings, judge for yourself by thinking over all this with your own intelligence. So we should not try to jump to conclusions. So very important learning is here that the bad things happen, why bad things happen to good people, we are also feel that the same as if we are very good and we are not destined to receive anything which is adverse bad, but why it happens to us, but what we have to look that those who are actually good people, they respond to how they respond to the situation which are bad or unfavorable. So this is a great learning, and this is shown here in this section of Bhagavatam in the form of both the earth and religious principles personified, coming in the form of cow and bull, that how good people respond in different situations. So the question arises, how a devotee should respond. Dharma personified very intelligently said, no one can ascertain the cause of distress by argumentation, nor known by imagination, nor expressed by words. And this is what we do every time. We try to ascertain with our own argumentation, our own imagination, and by our own useless word. And this is what the learning is. What we have to imagine, what we have to reverse is that not to ascertain the carrier which is causing the distress to be cause or the seed of our classes. We are so blinded, we are so much in ignorance, we cannot go to the philosophical cause of suffering. We are only see the physical aspect, unable to see the philosophical aspect. As soon as we dive the philosophical aspect, the suffering itself will be very mild, and the impact of it will be reduced, because our own focus is that we try to minimize it and to bring it to one person or one situation or circumstances which is responsible for our own suffering. In fact, it is not. So this is very important. And in verse number 21, Parikshit Maharaj is satisfied by hearing from Dharma, and Parikshit Maharaj from verse number 22 said, here Parikshit Maharaj recognized that bull is Dharma personified, who identifies the offender. Here purport, Prabhupada says, a devotee's conclusion is that no one is directly responsible for being a benefactor or mischief monger without the sanction of the Lord. Therefore, he does not consider anyone to be directly responsible for such action. Here, Prabhupada given the example of Jesus Christ, and in class we discussed the Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj never questioned to his father that I am your son and you are my father, and what kind of father are you? A father is meant to protect the son, and you are such a father, you want to kill me. You are making so many attempts to kill me, poison me. And he never asked. And rather he said, he addressed his father, Asura Bharya, who best amongst the Asuras. That is the way of accepting a thing either favorable or unfavorable. Thus, for a devotee, the identifier is equally a sinner like the mischief monger. Now, Parikshit Maharaj answering and replying to Dharma personified. When he denied to name anyone, the person responsible for his suffering. We are only the carrier of our suffering. The ultimate knower is Supreme Lord. Sarva Karana Karanam. Krishna is the cause of all causes. So, by his illusionary energy, always creating doubts due to the modes of material nature and the effect of Kali. And Maya Shakti is acting and it is always bewildered as, and Maya Shakti is inconceivable. So the from verse number 14, the four pillar or the four legs, which is in the form of tapaha, shaucha, daya, and satyam are explained. So all these four pillars are four foundations are four legs, very well established in Satya Yuga. यहाँ पे कृता means सत्य युग बोला गया है, and because of rampant illusion, three of them broken because of pride, lust for woman, and intoxication. And what are the cause? What are the causes? The degradation and downfall is mentioned here. Pride, which destroys the tapa, lust for woman, loss of socha, and intoxication is loses mercy. And we are surviving due to truthfulness, that is satya. So a conditioned soul, like a moth, are captivated by the fire of delusion. Example given by Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada also took a great risk and accepted so much trouble and impediments to spread the Bhagavad Dharma. His mission was to spread Bhagavad Dharma and establish the Bhagavad Dharma and to defeat the influence of Kali by this. Bhagavad means one who following the Brahminical culture of austerity, cleanliness, truthfulness, and mercy. If we following the four regulative principles based on the four principles of religion, no meat eating, it symbolizes the mercy, no intoxication, that is for cleanliness, no gambling for satya, and no illicit sex. The influence of Kali can be minimized in our life. It is not so easy to follow the four regulative principles purely in this age of Kali. For this, we need mercy and association of devotees. We need constant shelter and protection to be able to follow the religious principles. So, and Jiva Goswami also here says, if anyone who break the four regulative principles, he cannot chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. If he purely observe the principles, we can happily chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So, personified dharma's three legs are broken, and personified dharma is standing in one leg, that is truthfulness. In purport, Prabhupada says austerity means to accept voluntarily things which may not be very comfortable for the body, but are conducive for spiritual realization. For example, regulation of sleep, waking up in Brahma Muhurt because of our mind is inclined, it wants to take more rest, but we do that because if we do not wake up early, then we cannot practice spirituality and we cannot chanting properly the given rounds, and his willingness to chant and willingness to serve the Supreme Lord will be diminished. And regulation of diet, Prabhupada says that it should be for self-realization, not for other purposes. And Prabhupada says cleanliness for both body and mind. In 26, Parikshit Maharaj said for the earth and her suffering, and 17, Parikshit Maharaj speaks about Mother Earth in the form of a cow. By teaching of this Srimad Bhagavatam, only the influence of Kali will be diminishing. If the mass of people accept Bhagavad Dharma by observing the four regulative principles of austerity, cleanliness, and mercy and truthfulness, then only the influences of Kali decrease. In 28, Parikshit Maharaj, who could fight 1,000 enemies single-handedly, thus specified the personality of religion and the earth. Then he took up his sharp sword to kill the personality of Kali, who is the cause of all religion. In purport, Srila Prabhupada exposing the hypocrisy of current administration in verse number 29. We read in Bhagavad Gita about the aggressor, Atatai. He should be immediately punished, and the best form of punishment is to kill him. And Parikshit Maharaj prepared, he made his mind to kill. Kali understands this, and king was willing to kill him. So Kali at once abandoned the dress of a king and under pressure of fear completely surrendered to him, bowing his head. Bowing his head. Actually, he is a Sudra, less than a Sudra, but a Kshatriya never surrender, rather he challenge, either die or win. By pride, austerity is spoiled. By attraction for women, cleanliness is spoiled. By too much addiction and intoxication, mercy is spoiled. And by gambling and lying, truthfulness is spoiled. If you have discomfort of mind and body, still we must have to follow these four regulative principles of religion, Bhagavad Dharma. If you want to spread Bhagavad Dharma, then one must follow the regulative principles strictly. And after this Janma Sartha Kari Karo Paropakar. If we follow strictly the regulative principles, then only it can be possible to overcome the influence of Kali. In test number 13, how Kali changed his position was explained. Parikshit Maharaj so much compassionate and kind to the poor, and his glory was worthy. Kali is called as poor because he surrendered and took shelter. He falls in the feet of Maharaj Parikshit and requested to be pardoned, to be safe and guarded. Here the qualities of Kshatriyas are discussed. So a Kshatriya does not kill a surrendered person. When a Kshatriya is challenged, he cannot be refused to fight, and he must provide shelter. We see in Krishna Lila, Krishna want to kill Maya Rakshasa, but Arjuna takes shelter. Maya Rakshasa took shelter of Arjuna, so Krishna not kill the Asura. So Kshatriya spirit also in glorification of Lord Rama, we said to remember this verse. Chakradeva prapannasya tavasmi cha yachate abhayam sarvada.
तस्मै ददामि
Abhayam
एतद्
sarvada tasmai dadami etad mama. It is my vow that if one only once seriously surrender unto me, saying, my dear Lord, from this day I am yours, and prays to me for courage, I shall immediately award courage to that person, and he will always remain safe from that time on. So,
Where did
Kshatriya,
you 1 minute? Where did you get this translation from? This translation कहाँ से निकाला आपने?
प्रभु जी ये चैतन्य चरितामृत में ये रेफरेंस
तो
है।
वहां श्लोक भी तो लिखा होगा ना? श्लोक लिखा है ना? चैतन्य चरितमृत में लिखा है।
लिखा है प्रभु जी।
फिर श्लोक सही से क्यों नहीं पढ़ रहे थे? जब आप ट्रांसलेशन सही पढ़ सकते हैं तो श्लोक भी सही पढ़िए।
यस प्रभु।
ये श्लोक याद होना चाहिए भाई। भगवान राम के सामने क्या देखते हो? क्या पहने हो वो?
यही कर दें प्रभु।
हाँ?
शक्रदेव प्रपन्न
नहीं,
अस्मि
नहीं
च
आता आपको, श्लोक नहीं आता ठीक से। दोबारा पढ़िए, बोलिए, बोलो, बिना देखे बोलो।
शक्रदेव प्रपन्नाय तव अस्मि इति च याचते अभयं सर्वदा तस्मै ददामि तद्वृतं मम।
काफी ठीक है, 90% अभी पहली बार ठीक बोला, तीसरी बार में सही बोला है आपने। याद नहीं है, लेकिन अगर याद होगा तो हर बार सही बोलेंगे। और प्रयास करिए, चलिए आगे बढ़िए।
In verse number 31, Parikshit Maharaj, who have inherited the form of Arjuna, said to Kali, you need not fear for your life, but you cannot remain in my kingdom because you are Tvam Adharma Bandhu, friend of a religion. In 32, the state should very much support the principles of religion. Four regulative principles: austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness. Such principles may be different in time and place, but one has to follow with faith, so that whoever faith one may be followed must follow the four regulative principles: austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness. And here, secular state means that everyone is following the same. Prabhupada mentioned. In 33, where the principles of religions are established and it is being followed by worshipping the Lord of sacrifice by performing sacrifice by experts, by the sages. Sacrifice means, Prabhupada said, to accept the supremacy of the Lord and thereby perform acts by which the Lord may be satisfied in all respects. Same thing for bhajan. Bhajan means to accept the authority of the Supreme Lord and perform an act which can be pleased the Supreme Lord. In this age of Kali, the greatest common formula of sacrifice is the Sankirtana Yajna. Kalir dosa nidhi rajan astio ek mahan guna kirtanat eva krishnasya mukta sangha param brajet. And verse number 34, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita chapter 7 that even those who are the worshipper of demigod, actually they are worshipping me. Through the indirect method and whatever the benedictions and rewards they receive, it is through me. In this way, Maharaj Parikshit said to Kali to get out of him from his kingdom. In verse number 38, Suta Goswami said, Maharaj Parikshit gives 4 places where Kali permanently resides. That is Dvitam, gambling, Panam, intoxication, and Striyaha, prostitution, and Suna, animal slaughter. Here, Pravritis, Pravartas and Nivritas are explained. Pravartas means those who are engaged in material enjoyment, and Nivritas means those who are liberated from the material bondage. In purport, Srila Prabhupada recommended in the scriptures, the recommendations in the scriptures are not meant for the encouragement of such adharma, but for regulating the necessary adharma gradually towards the path of dharma. So Srila Prabhupada recommended the 2 days of fasting in a month, which helps to saving the food grains, and the health of citizens also will be good. And second, very much emphasis on illicit sex, compulsory marriage by boys at the age of 25 and girl 16 years. And citizen must give at least 50% of charity out of their income to propagation of Krishna consciousness. They should preach the principles of Bhagavatam by Karma Yoga or doing everything for the satisfaction of the Lord, a regular hearing of the Srimad Bhagavatam from authorized persons or realized souls, and chanting of glories of the Lord congregationally at home or at places of worship, rendering all kinds of service to Bhagavatas engaged in preaching Srimad Bhagavatam, and residing in a place where the atmosphere is situated with God consciousness. Also, Prabhupada explaining the gambling of all description is prohibited, and intoxication of all description, even smoking cigarettes, chewing tobacco, and the drinking of tea must be prohibited. In verse number 39, after receiving 4 places, Kali further begged to life where there is gold. Jata Rupam, where there is gold, there is a facility of intoxication, lust, envy, and enmity. In 40, all these 5 places, Maharaj Parikshit allowed Kali to live. So in 41, whoever desires progressive well-being, kings, religionists, public leaders, brahmanas, and sannyasis should never come in contact with these 4 irreligious principles. So from this verse onwards, Prabhupada gives the 4 regulative principles. Anyone who takes leadership position, qualification is he should be free from all these 4 defects. Character of a person who takes leadership position is more important than other qualification. In 42, the king re-established the lost religion. The three lost legs of bull, the personality of religion, were re-established by King Maharaj Parikshit. That was tapa, austerity, shaucha, cleanliness, and daya, mercy. In purport, Srila Prabhupada says, one's accumulated wealth may be divided into three parts for distribution. 50% for the service of the Lord, 25% for the family members, 25% for the personal necessity. Prabhupada emphasizing how we should conduct our living. Maximum display of human mercy by 50% of our income must be spent for the propagation of Sankirtana Yajna, especially regards to the devotional service. Certainly, austerity, cleanliness, and mercy automatically ensure establishment of these three legs of bull. If we train in such a way that our spending should be minimum, then we can easily come out from the clutches of Kali. And after that, the reward, you also discuss what is the reward of Kali. First reward is that although Kali was a Atatai, but still he was not killed because he surrendered to Parikshit Maharaj. And second is that he was supposed to thrown out outside the kingdom, but he was given 5 places to stay. So conclusion of this chapter is that we see in the entire chapter, Prabhupada focus on the four aspects of religion: performing austerity, remaining truthfulness, cleanliness, and mercy. Superficially, we are thinking we are following, but it is not so easy to follow the regulative principles of religion. These principles are required to practice the dharma. Dharma means rules abide by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And also we see the protection of how the need of protection of cows and bulls is the prime duty of administrative class of man, because the cows and bulls are the less intelligent children of the Supreme Lord, so they should not be harassed or abused. Those who are also having occupation of being busiest, the mercantile man, it is their prime duty to serve the cows and the bulls. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, thank you. Well, you covered almost everything. Good. Okay, devotees, any question or any clarification from Rabindra Prabhu? Yes, Sonika.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Hare Krishna Rabindra Prabhuji. Thank you for your wonderful presentation. Prabhuji, you mentioned about the Swadharma and Apadharma. So Swadharma, we can get knowledge about Swadharma from the Shastra. From means how can we know about the Apadharma? Means how can we get guidance about that?
First, explain both. And which verse is this? बोलिए रविंद्र Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
It is 16th verse, Prabhu.
Okay.
Swadharma means, Prabhuji, the faithful. One should be faithful in one's prescribed duties. And Apada Dharma means occupational duty at the time of extraordinary happenings.
So who will decide that? Apad, this is what she is asking. Have you understood what is the concept of Apad Dharma which is mentioned here?
Prabhuji, Apada Dharma means in case of emergency, when one is performing such act, that is Apada Dharma.
ये तो
Here,
कोई
Prabhupada given the example of Vishwamitra had to live on flesh.
What is your understanding? When you can say that you are in Apad Dharma? You see what it is mentioned here. Where is the proper understanding? Occupational duty at time of extraordinary happening. So it is Swadharma only. Occupational duty is Swadharma.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Then how it becomes Apad? And what is Apad Dharma? What is the uh, exemption in Apad Dharma?
One is performing one's prescribed duty to serve the Supreme Lord. By that time, if there is extraordinary things happening are required to serve the Supreme, then he can perform such action to satisfy the Supreme Lord and not break the religious principles.
Apad Dharma religious principle is intact or broken?
If it is done for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord, then
What does Apad Dharma mean? Apad Dharma is for whom? Otherwise, it will be Vikarma.
Prabhuji,
Clear?
Apad Dharma is for those who is the
क्लियर नहीं है आपको, कंफ्यूज है? कौन बताएगा व्हाट इज आपद धर्म? हु विल एक्सप्लेन क्विकली? प्लीज पार्टिसिपेट. और ये आधे लोग ये बंद करके क्यों बैठे हुए हैं? अक्षय और मानिनी, ये तो अपना मानिनी माता जी तो कभी आती हैं, आधे मैक्सिमम तो आती नहीं है, आती हैं तो मोबाइल बंद करके आती हैं. 10 बार इनको बोलो तो खोलती हैं. क्या समस्या है आपकी
कृष्ण
बहन जी?
जी. सॉरी प्रभु जी, हरे कृष्ण, दंडवत प्रणाम.
नहीं, आप सुनती नहीं है, आप बहुत जिद करती हैं अपनी.
कृष्ण जी.
क्यों बंद किया तुमने अक्षय अपना वीडियो?
ये घर गया था, अभी आया हूँ तुरंत.
वीडियो बंद करके अलाउड नहीं है मेरी क्लास.
जी
100 बार बताया, मत आइए, मुझे कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. अगर आप भागवतम का सम्मान नहीं कर सकते तो कम से कम अपमान मत करिए. अब बिजी है, नहीं टाइम है तो करिए, संसार का जो कुछ करना है करिए. बोलिए मदन स्वरूप प्रभु, यू रेज योर हैंड. व्हाट इज आपद धर्म?
Hare Krishna Bhakti. Whenever we are following Swadharma and there is a emergency situation or you are compelled to deviate from Swadharma, that's called Apadharma. And it is under the extremely compelling circumstances that one may deviate from Swadharma. And ultimately, it is the executive head who will decide whether we are following Swadharma or not.
Manoram, can you give more clarity on this?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
So, as I understood that this is in some extraordinary situations, not in general. In general, one will follow the Swadharma or prescribed duties following religious principles. But here, from the example, as we see that if some extraordinary situations arrived, like someone is placed in some places and nothing to eat, maybe sometimes it happens, what I understood, Prabhuji, if some acute diseases sometimes happens and that somebody needs to take some animal products. So this is some very extraordinary situations, not in general. So in that time, I think with the guidance of the spiritual teacher, one may be allowed to have such kinds of foods or may perform some duties, but in generally which is not allowed. So that is in extraordinary situations.
Yes. Can anyone give some example to make it more clear? Apart from the example which is cited here. Prabhupada says the violator is subject to punishment in terms of the Shastras. If one violates this, if it is not apad, then he violates, then he is liable to be punished. When Prabhupada asked his disciple to go and preach in Russia, so they were not wanting to go. And they were giving many excuses that it is very difficult, prasadam is not available, they have red meat, we cannot eat meat. Prabhupada says, I don't care. You go and preach even if you have to eat meat. So how can Prabhupada say, eat meat? But what was the higher principle? To preach. Sannyasis, they have no connection with women. Prabhupada made his disciples enter the Grihastha ashram and he performed the Vivah Samskar. Why? To make them become Krishna conscious. So Prabhupada violated that principle. But for a purpose to make these young men and women become Krishna conscious. This is Alpat Dharma. Now clear? The intent is not to violate, but the situation, the circumstances is so. For a higher principle, you can compromise the lower principle. That is the rule. And of course, as you said, it has to be done under the spiritual guidance, not independently or whimsically. So what was the Apad Dharma? Bolo bhai, in this situation, what is the Apad Dharma? Why Apad Dharma is mentioned here? Rabindra Prabhu, what is the Apad Dharma here?
Prabhuji, to give protection to the law-abiding persons.
Yes.
And chastise those who are doing the wrong.
या ठीक है, तो इसमें आपद कहाँ आ गई? अभी क्या आपद आ गई परीक्षित महाराज के सामने?
आपद ये था कि जो
बोलो कितनी अंडरस्टैंडिंग हुई है चैप्टर की, बताओ.
जो दोषी नहीं है, निरीह है, उसको जो है दंड मिल रहा है.
महाराज परीक्षित तो दंड नहीं दे रहे ना, वो तो न्याय कर रहे हैं. वो तो बोल रहे हैं कि अगर वो देवी देवता भी होंगे तो भी मैं उन्हें नहीं बख्शूंगा। बोल रहे हैं ना, वो आपने बोला नहीं? बोला आपने?
Yes, Prabhuji.
बोला था?
Even he is a denizens of heaven.
अच्छा,
He
ठीक है।
also be punished.
ठीक 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 ठीक, बहुत अच्छा। तो अभी इमरजेंसी क्या आ गई? भारत परीक्षित परीक्षित के सामने क्या इमरजेंसी है? आपकी क्या अंडरस्टैंडिंग है, उनको क्या करना चाहिए?
उनको कली को दंड देना चाहिए।
परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय, यही है ना?
Yes, Prabhuji.
काऊ को और बुल को प्रोटेक्ट करना चाहिए और कली को मार देना चाहिए।
Yes,
हाँ,
yes,
तो इसमें
Prabhuji.
आपद क्या हो गया? जो धर्मी है, आपद कहां से आ गई? कौन बताएगा? बोलिए। यस, दयाशील सोच रहे हैं, बोलूं ना बोलूं?
नहीं
बोलो।
प्रभु जी, हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी। प्रभु
हरे।
जी, इमरजेंसी केस इसीलिए आया कि वो कल ही सरेंडर किया, तो उस टाइम पे वो इमरजेंसी केस आया कि तो वो इसीलिए उनको प्रोटेक्ट करना पड़ा, जो कि
हाँ,
उनको पनिश करना चाहिए था।
बात कहाँ फंस गई कि कली जो है वो उनके चरण में गिर गया और प्रोटेक्शन मांगने लगा। तो जो उनको करना चाहिए था, उसको दंडित करना चाहिए था, जिस प्रकार से दंडित करना चाहिए था, उसको मृत्यु दंड देना चाहिए था, नहीं दे पाए। और एक और आपद कहां से आ गई? वो ये भी आपद नहीं है, विशेष आपद कहां से आई? देख कितना पकड़ा आप लोगों ने। अक्षय कुमार, आपको तो कुछ पता ही नहीं होगा, हवा ही नहीं होगी क्या चैप्टर चल रहा है, बताओ। पढ़ा आपने एक बार भी कि पुस्तक खोल के भागवतम मिल गई आपको?
जी नहीं है।
हाँ, वो नहीं आएगी, वो एक साल तक आप ऐसे ही घूमते रहेंगे इधर उधर, बाकी सब जगह जाके घूम सकते हैं, बर्गर में एक श्रीमद् भागवतम नहीं मिल सकती आपको, इतना मुश्किल है। रुचि नहीं है। बोलिए मदन स्वरूप प्रभु।
हाँ प्रभु जी, इसमें इमरजेंसी ये आया कि आई मीन पूरे यूनिवर्स में उनका he was ruling the entire universe. So I mean, Kali could not go anywhere else, and he had to give shelter within his kingdom.
नो, व्हाट वाज द मेन विपद, आपद और महाराज परीक्षित?
Since Kali had surrendered, so he could not give, and he had
दैट
to
दैट
give
इज
shelter
दैट इज दैट
also
इज
within.
दैट इज ऑलरेडी डिस्कस्ड। वन वन वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट रीजन डिस्कस कर लिया हम लोगों ने, कई बार डिस्कस किया, पहले भी डिस्कस किया, आज ये रविंद्र प्रभु भी बोले हैं, लेकिन उसको पकड़े कितना है? बोलिए, इट इज गेटिंग लेट, इट इज 9:37। How did the personality of religion respond? What was his response, Ravinder Prabhu?
Dharma personified said, no one is causing for his
Yes, he declined to consider the mischief monger Kali to be the seed
cause.
of his suffering. He denied. अगर वो आइडेंटिफाई करते तो मार देते ना, तो कहानी खत्म हो जाता। Okay, anyone else? Any question? Quickly, it is getting late. बट अच्छा है, आपने अच्छे से प्रिपेयर किया, पढ़ा, सुना, लिखा। लिखा ना, बिना लिखे तो प्रेजेंट कर नहीं सकते। चलिए ठीक है, थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर योर एफर्ट, इट वाज अ गुड वन। एंड ध्यान से स्क्रूटिनाइजिंगली पकड़िए। हाँ, इसमें सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट यही है कि जो प्रिंसिपल धर्मा दे रहे हैं, that we should not make others liable for our suffering. The suffering is because of one's own sinful action. And that is what the teaching is being given here in the form of dharma personified. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees.